G'day. So this is an experimental spell that you guys can try out. See how it works for your campaigns. Specifically something that can be used by clerics. Now the question that gives rise to this spell is it possible to have a healing cantrip? Now, the idea behind a cantrip is it's a bread and butter spell that you can use at will and you can fall back to when your reserves are low and you don't have those first and second and third level spells left in the bank. It just gives you some kind of ability. I mean, fighters and rogues and that sort of thing can always fall back to using a sword or a dagger or a crossbow or something, whereas mages in older editions, when they ran out of spells, they were just hitting something with a stick. So the idea of at-will spells and now cantrips gives them powers that they can always use. So when they are out of all their reserves, they've still got a firebolt or a shocking grasp or something that they can break out and do a little bit of damage. And it also works if you're trying to conserve your spells. So maybe you don't want to break out all your big resources. Maybe you want to save them for in case you bump into something powerful. At that point, you can use your cantrips. You're not just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. Now, the problem is you've got damage dealing casters that have cantrips all over the place. There's lots of offensive cantrips. But where do your healers fit in with this? Is it possible to have a healing cantrip? Now, I'm pretty sure a few editions ago there was a starter dungeon which actually had an at-will healing power in it, and it disappeared almost overnight. It was actually a really bad idea, and the reason was because of what almost everyone realizes as soon as they look at that spell, that it effectively means as soon as you're out of combat, everyone is healed. Because even if the spell only heals one single hit point, if it's at will, the moment the fight stops, your caster can just heal, 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 and then everyone is up. And basically, it means hit points stop mattering unless monsters can destroy your entire stockpile of hit points in a single encounter, because if you have at-will healing, they're always going to be on full. So the question is there a way to make an at-will healing cantrip work? And my suggestion is build a cost in. So here is my suggestion for an at-will healing cantrip. The spell is Rapid Heal. So the idea is this spell uses the body's natural healing mechanisms and accelerates them. But in some cases, it can overtax the body a little. So we're looking at a cantrip level spell with a casting time of 1 action, a range of touch, components of verbal and somatic, so very similar to Cure Wounds at this point. Duration of instantaneous, school evocation, no attack save because it's a healing effect. And what this spell does is when it is cast on an ally or another creature, it allows them to immediately, in combat, spend a hit dice as they would in a short rest. So in an emergency pinch, it will allow them to immediately spend one of those hit dice. But there are a couple of costs built in. So one cost is obviously spending the hit dice. So if you use this spell a great deal, then you are going to go through those hit dice really, really quickly. And so come to a short rest, you're going to have nothing left to actually heal up, unless people are using potions or actual healing slot spells. The other cost is whenever this spell is used on you, you must roll a Constitution save. Now the difficulty is the number of hit points you were healed by, plus the number of hit dice you have already spent in healing. So if you have a character that's already spent 3 of their hit dice in a short rest, and they get healed 8 hit points by this spell, then at that point, it's a difficulty check of 11. If you fail the difficulty check, your body is overtaxed by the spell, and you take a level of fatigue. So what this means is your cleric specifically, because I think this should be the sort of thing that a cleric would have in their toolkit, and not rangers and some of those other classes. It's a very dedicated healer trick. What this gives them is an emergency healing tool that they can break out when their reserves are depleted and they have really nothing left. And this is their one option. And it will allow you to get that emergency burst of hit points and get someone back on their feet at a pinch. But if you get outside of combat and you start spamming it, then not only are you going to burn through your hit dice really, really fast, but you're also going to start failing those checks at some point, which means you're going to start getting hit with fatigue levels. You only need like 2 fatigue levels and you're getting major disadvantages. So that's not something you want to mess around with. So it has this nice balance of being an emergency trick that you can pull out when you need it, but there would be a big cost that would come with trying to spam it. So, what do you guys think? Is it something you would give a try in your campaign? Do you want to try it out? And let us know in the comments how it went. Give it a go, and we would love to hear how it went for you. Thanks for listening.